I like that.
Or it's kind of Victorian.
It's very Mooney.
Victorian era, yeah.
Sundamani Mooney. We'll be quoting you for centuries. Well, Sundamani Mooney said. Well, good evening, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We've got Stephen Michael Schwartz back with us. Stephen Leonard Schwartz. Well, who's Michael and why isn't he here?
I don't know.
I told him this is a blessing. There was this crazed holy man I met in Mayapur, and he gave me the blessing. He said, "May the Schwartz be with you." And Schwartz is here.
That's right.
No,
Actually, he has a couple of, two, actually, poems that he would like to read.
Hey, fire it off. Best not to put the book on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should realize that. But thank you for
That's all right.
letting me know because I need to be reminded. Since this is Bhagavad, thank everyone for having me here tonight. It's quite a pleasure. Since this is Bhagavad Gita class, I had to find some poems pertaining to the Bhagavad Gita, and I did. This is called It's Krishna Time. I desire to connect with you all the time. No operator assistance, don't need a dime. Stay with me always, there is never any rent. From the spiritual sky, your love is heaven sent. I want to serve you every week and pray at the base of your lotus feet. Reading the Bhagavad Gita is my Krishna drink. It quenches my spiritual thirst and energizes my mind to think. It pleases me to please you every day. I adore you immensely. I adore you immensely. Stay with me and never go away. Our love's not for sale, it will never be returned. A permanent purchase, all receipts have been burned. I really need to be with you every second, at your service whenever you beckon. My Cape Crusader and spiritual hero. Without you, Lord, my life would be worth zero.
Is that from the book?
That's for me.
No, the book of your book.
Oh yes, all this is from my book.
Okay.
Yes, my book.
Yeah, I refer to it as
The book.
the book.
The book. This is called If It's Spiritual, It's Krishna. I got this is from Waz, everyone knows Waz, from her classic for Palu all those years ago. And anyway, if it's spiritual, it's Krishna. Reach past it, whatever it is, with your outstretched arms. Beyond its border, there is no harm. Beauty and goodness are on the other side. Travel with Krishna on a magic carpet ride. The Bhagavad Gita contains thousands of purports. Bhaktivedanta detaches you from attachments of all sorts. A Prabhupada original book with no imitations. Your mind harbors the only limitations. Prabhupada purports thoughts more infinite. Understand his meaning and really get into it. Absorb the message sent from above. There for your taking, sign Krishna with love. Krishna, you suddenly appear when I need you the most. You never cry and you never boast. You are the one I love the most. whether I'm on the Atlantic or the Pacific coast. And thank you. And one more quick one, if I could.
Sure.
You've seen this photograph.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did.
This is our friend right here. But you haven't heard the poem from this
That's the
photograph.
day that you were trying to find my good side, and you went around me so many times that you got dizzy and fell over.
Well, this is a great shot. But you haven't heard the poem that I wrote from that photograph. This is called a Traveling Monk. I'm a traveling monk for many days of the year, delivering Prabhupada's message with devotion and cheer. My reward is service to Krishna and seeing devotees' smiles. Krishna is not allowed to give me frequent flyer miles. Anytime, any place, anywhere, Krishna, I'm at your service. Anything I can do for you, I'm humbled and never nervous. The sun shines bright and glows so right with a Vrindavan hue. My photograph says it all, my Lord. My love for you is true. That's the poem. Thank you very much.
With you around, our life has rhyme and reason. I hope you come every season.
You really don't need a reason.
You don't really need a reason. See, he's got us doing it. We're going to be doing this for weeks.
Well, thank you.
Good to see you, Meg. How are you? And Tim.
I know.
Tim.
It's not working.
He made his appearance.
I was beginning to think that you were just a figment of my imagination. I thought there was a Tim, but I'm just getting old.
And there
I
is.
imagined there was a Tim.
And you won't.
Yeah. I thought you were Bob's imaginary playmate. It's really nice to see you, though.
Thank you. It's
I'm glad
really good to
I'm
see
glad
you.
that they let you out of the
Yeah,
shop tonight to
they
come
did.
see us.
Yeah.
You come to see us when you get a night off.
Yeah. Right.
It gets me right here. But I'm over. But Hariku, good to see you. And of course, our leader is back with us.
Yay!
Whoa! Yeah, it's like the sun was shining brightly this morning. The fearless leader is back. Cracking the whip, getting us back into shape. So we've got the old, this crew I refer to as the usual suspects. It's always the same faces that show up to here. So I was going to speak on Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter, 24th, 25th, and 26th verse. If we get time, let's see how much time we get. In my book, it's 699.
What are the verses again?
1324.
This book is 592.
I have a bigger book.
13, 13, text 24.
Okay.
Text 26, 69.
Got it? Jaivam Deti Purusham. Yeah, good job. Jaivam Deti Purusham. Prakritim Cha Gunahe Saha. Sarvata Vartamo Manopi. Nasa Bhuyo Vijayate. Translation. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. So I can say it and we can repeat it. One who understands this philosophy
One
One who understands this philosophy
concerning material nature,
concerning material
the
nature,
living entity,
the living entity,
and the interaction
and the interaction
of the modes
of the modes
of nature
of nature
is sure to attain liberation.
is sure to attain liberation.
He will not take birth here again,
He will not take birth here again,
regardless of his present position.
regardless of his present position.
purport by Srila Prabhupada. Clear understanding of material nature, the super soul, the individual soul, and their interrelation makes one eligible to become liberated and turn to the spiritual atmosphere without being forced to return to this material nature. This is the result of knowledge. The purpose of knowledge is to understand distinctly that the living entity has by chance fallen into this material existence. By his personal endeavor in association with authorities, saintly persons, and his spiritual master, he has to understand his position and then revert to spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness by understanding Bhagavad Gita as it is explained by the personality of Godhead. Then it is certain that he will never come again to this material existence. He will be transferred to the spiritual world for a blissful, eternal life of knowledge. So, what's Krishna saying here? Understand material nature. What does that mean? What is, that's important to understand the material nature because it's working on us all the time. It's ever present. And it's a force that affects us constantly. So it's important to know and to understand the material nature. However, we can't stop there. There are many schools who feel that's enough. What's that? What is that? What's that word under the? I can't think of it. Those who worship material nature. There's the word.
Materials?
Yeah, but there's a special. It's a type of. It's even a religion.
In Las Vegas, where
Yeah.
I live.
Well, the American Indians, they had a relationship with
Pantheism?
pantheism. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you so
Good job.
much. It's good to have you around. Pantheistic. You get into the material nature, and you understand your relationship with the material nature, which really your body has a relationship with material nature. You see, so that's good. That's good to know. However, that in and of itself is not going to deliver you. It'll take you to a certain platform, to a certain level, but it's not going to get you Krishna's lotus feet. As we were speaking last week, I always like to, when I hear these philosophies, we see these things on the internet, so many people quote this one and they quote that one, and all these things sound so sweet. I can't think of any right now, but they're real peaceful and they're warm and fuzzy and feel good. They make you feel so good. Something about yourself, they give you self-affirmation if you think about it. It makes you feel good, but it doesn't take you any closer to Krishna. You see, these things I think they're necessary to help us sometimes to maybe feel good. If we are not focusing on Krishna, if we're focusing on Krishna, then we have all of that. We have all those things. As I see these things appear on Facebook that people quote, they like to quote Rumi. I read up on Rumi. I thought, well, he's a really great guy, and all the things he says, they sound really fabulous. But God is that person from which everything emanates. So if we study Bhagavad Gita, because I think that sometimes people put these quotes on there, and I think, well, the Bhagavad Gita says things like that. And there are things there are feel-good things that Krishna says, as he's stepping you through, and then ultimately he says, surrender to me. You see, he says so many nice things. I'm drawing a blank right now, many examples, but there are warm and fuzzy things that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. They're kind of things that you could quote that would really dwarf what Rumi says. They're even more the truth. But then, ultimately, Krishna says, surrender to me. You see, Krishna's wanting this surrender. See, most of us in this material world, we're not looking for surrender. We don't want to surrender to anything. You see, and why? Because our nature is that of an unsurrendered soul. We left the kingdom of God and came here. We're unsurrendered. So we've taken on that personality of being unsurrendered, you see. I'll do as I please. I do what I want to do, you see. Krishna has given me free will and the right to use it or misuse it as I see fit. So I choose to exercise my free will, and sometimes we see people making decisions and they're not the right thing to do. And you can see it, because you're in a sober position. They may be in the mode of passion, and they're just driven to do this. And about all you can do is think to yourself, well, go ahead and do it, and I'll be here to pick up the pieces, when this thing falls apart. You just can't, you see, because they're driven to do, even if it's the wrong thing, I'm driven to do it, you see. The modes of material nature are working on them, you see. Typically the mode of passion and ignorance are the ones that are driving most people nowadays. Mode of passion, I want, I just gotta have. See, that's what keeps society going. It's what sells products. It's what moves progress. If it wasn't for the mode of passion, then all these wonderful products that the manufacturers offer us on the internet or put on the shelves, it would just sit there. Because we're not in the mode of passion. We don't have these. I'm satisfied. You see, that's the greatest austerity in the material world. Did you know that? Who's that? Rupa Goswami says, the greatest austerity in the material world is for one to feel satisfaction. Satisfied. That'd make a good song, wouldn't it?
Get no.
Yeah. Write that down. You can do a poem.
Let me sit like this.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so it's so difficult because of the modes for us to feel satisfaction. You see.
Well, isn't that the key to life?
Yeah. How do we get satisfaction? We're not going to squeeze it out of the material energy. If that were possible, we're doing more squeezing on the material energy now than any people in history. You see, instead of just living off the land and enjoying the fruits, the wonderful forest, the clean rivers that we used to have in this world, you see, the clean air, we used to have that. You see. But nowadays, we've sacrificed a lot of that so that we can have so many wonderful things, containers like you wouldn't believe, I always notice in America that containers are way overkill. In India, you don't get containers like this. The other time you get a good container for water is if it's got some fizzy, then it has to be a little stronger. The rest of the time, the container is so weak that when you drink the water out of it, it just kind of just collapses. It's just thin and flimsy. It's meant to use one time, and that's about it. Of course, they will use them, and if you throw them away, people will pick them out of the garbage, and they'll use them until they disintegrate. But we go and if we see one product in the store and it's got a really nice container, we'll buy that before we will the one next to it, because we're buying the container too. And we use it, and we either leave it sitting on the bench in the park for somebody else to pick up, or we throw it away. And if we're really good, we might recycle. We might throw it in a recycle bin. But this is useless energy. Somebody gave me one. This is kind of like a drink that helps me sleep, and it was so good. I thought, I can't throw this away. I got to use it. So I hate to throw things like this away. But you see how we're exploiting the material energy more now than ever before, and satisfaction isn't as high. As a matter of fact, it's less now than it ever was before, you see. So with intelligence, we can see that the material energy is not going to cut it for us, because unhappiness is higher now than ever before.
That's the ignorance part, right?
Yeah.
Not being able to see, you don't see that it isn't.
Right.
You continue to have hope that it will.
We always have the modes blending together. We're in the mode of passion with a tinge of ignorance, or maybe in the mode of ignorance with a tinge of passion. Those two kind of go together, and so
It propels them.
Yeah.
They propel each other.
Yeah, they do. Exactly. The mode of passion and the mode of ignorance really are great for exploiting the material energy. They'll make you expert, you see. But ultimately, we're not going to get what we set out to get. We're not going to get satisfaction. It's just not there, you see. And there's always the promise of something out there that they're going to develop. The science community, we're going to develop this, we're going to develop that. We're going to extend your life. I'm going to give you some pills that if you take, and it's funny, you know, you look at the health industry. Since I've had problems with my body for the last few years, I've been kind of forced in paying attention to that arena, you know. And I noticed that you go to places like Whole Foods and places like that, and they've got people that are driven. They want to feel better, you know. So they've got rows and rows of products, and every so often they'll discover something that's been there forever. You know, like they'll discover cayenne. Remember we were talking?
Mm-hmm.
Now they have cayenne in pills because they discovered cayenne makes every other herb work. So you can go get a handful of cayenne for about 80 cents. You know, if it's the real expensive cayenne that they sell at Whole Foods, or you can go buy the thing of capsules for what, $4 or $8. See, so and we're driven to this will make me feel better. So you see so many things. They've discovered turmeric, and they've discovered so many. You know, it's just on and on. Every so often they come up with something new that they discover, and they're trying to exploit it. You know, I'll dangle it out there, and I'll tell you, and it does. It'll help you in so many ways, but not if you continue the lifestyle that you have. So in other words, the common man wants to continue my lifestyle, which I have, which is making me sick. It's making me age prematurely. But I want you to give me a pill, and I'm willing to pay for it, because I'm an American, you know, and I got the dough. So I'm willing to lay it on. I'll pay your Whole Foods prices. I'll lay it on the table. You just give me the pills that'll allow me to continue my nonsense lifestyle and feel young and better and make wrinkles disappear and all these other promises that they make, you know. Did you have a question?
And the whole world has it backwards.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're the ones that are trying to do it the right way, but we have to live in a world where the majority has it backwards.
Yeah, not only that.
And they won't get it. And they
Not only
they
that.
don't want to get it.
But we're trying to save that world.
Yes, we are.
We're out trying to save the world, and sometimes you can, if you go in a nice way, you know, people may listen to you. Sometimes you get a little bit more firm. You know, what do you do with someone? What do they call it? An intervention. When someone is like a heroin addict, you know, or a cocaine addict, they're an addict on something that's nonsense. It's hurtful for them. So sometimes, you know, speaking nicely doesn't really do anything. Sometimes you have to speak firmly. Sometimes you just have to really get in their face, you see. That's what do we call it?
Tough love.
Tough love. You've got to show them tough love, you see. So sometimes people ask me, they'll see some of the statements that Prabhupada makes in the Bhagavad Gita, and he's firm and direct. Because there's got to be some tough love to wake these people up, you see. We've got to, we can't dance around and say, you know, perhaps maybe I think that it could be that if you would try this, you would feel warm and fuzzy, and here's today's, you know, picture of a babbling brook in the forest with a nice thing, you know, something that makes you feel, you know, like petting a kitty, you know. And I don't know, I can't remember any of these things, but you know, if you feel down, you know, try to curl up by the fire and pet a cat. You know, see what some of these things are. And they're, like I say, they make you feel real good. But if you really want the full dose, then you can pick up Bhagavad Gita. You see, you can read what Krishna says, and walk away feeling very good inside. You see, go ahead.
Sometimes I need that tough love too.
Oh, well, you're in the right place.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's just like, many times, I counsel a lot of people, and once in a while I'll see a parent or a couple of parents, but it's usually a single parent, and it's usually a mother, who has a child that's just running wild and just wreaking havoc in their life. They steal a car, they go get drunk, and they do get thrown in jail, and they keep causing trouble for the mother, and she's bailing them out, and then they come to them and say, Mom, I need money because I'm going to go do this, and it's going to help me, and she gives it to them, and they don't spend it on that, they spend it on drugs, and, and so, what they really need, they need to be a little tougher. Well, the problem is the mother doesn't want the child to not like her, you see. And sometimes I have to tell them, well, you, my dear mother, you're in the mode of ignorance. This is Maya. In other words, you want them to see you nicely, more than you want them to perform as a productive human being. If you really and truly love that person, you would set them straight, even if they never spoke to you again. It's the story in the Bible of King Solomon, the two ladies that were arguing
right.
over the same child,
That's right.
and both of them laid claim to the child, and the king says, well, give me my sword, give me the child, I'll slice the child in half, and you can both have half. And one mother said, no, I was lying, it's not my child.
Yeah.
And he said, I was willing to give the child up to save it, you see. That's love. Sometimes the mother, or whoever the teacher is, whoever is administering the truth, has to be willing to lay it on the line for your benefit, out of love, even though you may not like it, and may not like that person for it, you see. So, that's the necessity for, what you call tough love. The preacher has to do that, you see. Those, if you were renounced, you renounce fame, profit, adoration, and distinction. People may not absolutely adore everything you say, but those with intelligence will come back and say, you were looking out for me, you were right. So sometimes the preacher has to deliver it. So it's not always the sweet and warm and fuzzy things that will really give you anything. Sometimes we need a shock. The material energy works so hard on us, we need a wake-up call, a warning shot to wake us up and get us back on course. Yes.
The last part of that translation, regardless of his present position,
Yeah.
is that the same person? I don't understand. It sounds like he's received liberation and he's okay, and then it says, regardless of the present situation.
Regardless of where you are coming from, you may be in the darkest modes. You see, you may have no knowledge of self, of the material energy, of God, your relationship to the above. You see, you may be in ignorance. So regardless of your position, you may be a philosopher. You could be, either you may have no knowledge whatsoever, or you may be a philosopher and think that you have all this knowledge that you've speculated about. And you've compared it with others who like to speculate, because you're trying to out-speculate them. And it becomes like a contest to see who can say something more profound. You see, the speculative, the gunnies, you see, you may be caught up in that. That's not going to necessarily deliver you. You see, where's that going to take you? Where's speculation? You might speculate the truth. If you go to Las Vegas and put your entire fortune on red 28, it might come up, isn't it? He's a Vegas guy.
Might not.
Yeah, It might not. You know. Do you think those games are rigged? They don't have to be though, do they?
Who knows what computer programs they have?
Yeah.
I'm not a computer expert.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm told that they're set to pay back 3%. So there's 3% winning, and that's enough to drive people to think I could be one of the 3%. So they run the numbers, and payoff is 3%, and but that's enough. But I give you you give me $100, I'm going to pay out 3. I keep 97. See, those are the odds.
Yeah, and those experiments, have you ever seen those old psychology films that they used to show us of rats that were motivated by getting some kind of like, just a random pressing of levers, and apparently that random return, because it wouldn't always respond, but that random return of the reward was enough to generate even more fervor in the rat. So one wonders, are we that different than the
So, even if the chances
even if the chances are, you're right, it's kind of random. So they found that it didn't have to respond. Like the lever would sometimes give them cheese or food or whatever the reward was, and so but the rat was even more motivated.
It knew it could somehow.
Because somehow it knew at some point in time it will deliver the goods. And so the rat becomes even more.
So in other words, for me to get my cheese, I just have to press more levers.
Right. So there's an addiction format going on.
But why does it have to be that way? Now, getting back to Krishna, we have to get control of our mind over all the things that my mind is telling us.
Well, now how do we do that? How do we do that? We have to make sure that what the input into our mind will take us in the right direction. You see, in other words, we have to put so much of Krishna as far as the input. We need to hear. We need to chant. We need to associate with people who speak about Krishna. You see, we need to associate with saintly persons.
We need to put the scale in our favor.
Exactly. Yeah. If you put enough of it in, it'll stay there. Have you ever noticed if you're chanting while you're driving, and you pull up to wherever it is you're going into the store or something, when you get into the store, you find that you're still chanting, even though you might have left your beads in the car. It's just going. You see. If you go to Mangal Arti and you hear Manohar, when he does Mangal Arti, and others too, but especially him, I'll hear it all day. It'll play all day. So one of the benefits of going to Mayapur or Vrindavan, you hear these great kirtaneros, and it'll stay in your mind all day. Which is or I can hear Jimi Hendrix. I can do that input, or I can hear something nonsense, and that'll stay all day. You see, so it's up to me. It's up to me. I can read and think. If you're actively speaking about Krishna, then you have to have input. You have to go looking for it wherever you can find it. Sit down and read. When I go on Facebook, I think, okay, this might be an inspiration. There'll be somebody that'll post a Bhagavad Gita verse or something, and I'm going to take that as an indication, as this is what I should speak about. You see. Last week it was from Jorge.
Yeah, I think for me a first step is to realize that I can control the mind. If the mind's not in control of me, that I can control the mind.
Yeah. But Arjuna says it would be easier to control the wind. When Krishna was talking about controlling the mind, he said it would be easier to control the wind than control my mind. You see. And Krishna told me, think of me, become my servant, serve me in loving devotion. We always come back to the same topic, love. You see. when someone falls in love, they think of their beloved all the time. Everything they see reminds them of their lover, you see. Sweet, total love. So as we perform bhakti yoga, we'll develop an attraction to Krishna. And if we perform it consistently and sincerely, we'll develop an attachment to Krishna. You become attached. In the beginning, you're just doing it because, well, okay, these are the directions. They said do this, do this, do this. Show up at this program, chant these rounds, read this book, do that, eat this, And so we do it, and we're just saying, all right, I'm going to give this a shot and see what I get. After some time, you develop an attraction. You think, hey, this isn't bad, and this is kind of nice. Then after some time, you become attached, where you just can't. It becomes part of you. Attached means it becomes me. It's part of me. You can't take it away from me. If you put me in prison, I'm still going to have my same program. You see, your mind will work like that. I'll still be chanting in the morning, and if I don't have a Bhagavad Gita in my prison cell, I'll remember what I can, and I'll quote that. You see, so in other words, you can't take it away. I'm attached. It's me. It's become me. You see, how can someone, if you're in love, how can someone take away your love affair? Some outside force. The more that someone may try to take it away, the harder you'll cling to it. You see, it works like that. You see, it becomes you. It's yours. You take possession, ownership of it. You see, in our devotional service, we should take ownership. We should own our service to Krishna. Whatever we're doing, whatever our function is, it's not that we do it just because Mother Sandhamani said we should. She was, if I don't do this, Mother Sandhamani's she's going to give me a hard time. No, we do it. She may say, well, I need you to do this, and you start performing this particular function, and you should take ownership. It should become yours, which means I do it. It's like, one thing I noticed, the only industry that I know of where people kind of autograph what they do is show business. It should be like that in everything. But my point is, you never notice they run the credits at the end? I mean, everybody who did anything, I mean, every actor, all the stars, all the co-stars, first policeman, second policeman, 25th policeman, anybody who showed their face in there, and not only that, all the guys behind the scenes. We got the sound man assistant, and on and on and on. Everybody that did anything has their name on it. You see? The reason why they do that is because that's a credit that helps them get a job, and that's part of the union that makes that happen like that. But it's also, if they did a bad job, then they can see, oh, wait a minute, you didn't do a very good job in that movie. You were the key grip, and that whole thing was not so good, and so you stink. So we should put our signature on our service. You see, do it and sign it. So in other words, do it as best as you can. Let the world know I did it, and I need to hear. Somebody may come up and say that was nice, but it would be better if you did it this way. And then you come up to a higher level. You don't say, well, who are you to tell me that? Sometimes you have to be careful when you tell somebody, Prabhu, you shouldn't do it like that. You should do it like this. Well, who do you think you are? Tell me. Okay. Proceed as you would. Yeah.
I got a quick little story about service. In Las Vegas last year for the Jivananda, I had some time off, so I volunteered my time like I'd never had before. I was in the kitchen slicing carrots and chopping the cabbage. and they showed me how to do it. And you have to do it this way, and make little strips, pencil-sized strips. You got to do it this way, and then do it that way, and then move it over to this side, and then start chopping again. And I realized how much cabbage and carrots I had to chop, and after about an hour, I started to get tired. And I said, Krishna, I've got at least another hour's worth of carrots to slice. You got to do something to get me through this. And he got me through it, and I got the job done. And it was for the vegetarian egg rolls that they were preparing. But I told Sir Paul, who's in charge, I was explaining to him what was going through my mind over the 2 hours time frame as I was chopping these carrots and the cabbage in service for Krishna. And he enjoyed it so much that at the Sunday night when people were there, he said he started telling everyone what I was going through during the service for Krishna, how I was fighting it and how I wasn't fighting it, and I had to take a break, but I got it done, and how everyone was so overjoyed to hear what I went through to serve. And I'd never done anything like that in my life. And it was a nice story.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada describes that the devotee should do his service in such a way that it's perfect. You know, it's the, what does he say, the art of doing a thing perfectly. You know, it may be imperfect the first few times, the first several times we do it, but perfection is what we're shooting for.
I got it done.
We want to do it nicely for Krishna.
Yeah.
You see, we want to do it nicely for the devotees. You know, that'll please Krishna even more if you do it something nice for the devotees. So, any more discussion before we go on?
I have one thought about this. I was thinking about regardless of present position. I was thinking if really, the spiritual leaders know this point, then there won't be any, competition or different religion, different things saying that, oh, we are better than you, all those things. Especially I think in terms of Indian religion, where they talk about different caste system. We are Shivites, we are Vaishnavites, we are that and this. And they start fighting. So in that way, if you really, regardless of the position, if you see that, then we accept that, God is going to, Krishna is going to accept all of us.
Yeah.
And most religion, they give out the idea that we are better than others.
One religion can only be quote unquote better than another if you can understand your analysis of it, depending on your proposed destination for your soul. You see, spiritual life should be something that teaches you the art of dying properly, and to do that you have to live properly. But what destination do you want at the time of death? And then how do you get there? What should be the thought that you have, and what will that thought give you at the time of death? And if you have a practice that will teach you to learn God, to love God, and will give you love of Godhead, then whatever name you give it, then that's bona fide. That's good. If it won't, it's bogus. To me, because I want Krishna. I want Krishna prema. Someone else may say, well, I don't want that. I'm not looking for that. I just want a really great situation when I die. God may be there, or he may not be. I'm sure he will be, but I don't want to see him every day. I'm not. A lot of people, when I talk to people about different religions, I'll say, well, tell me about it. What are you going to get when you go to heaven or to wherever it is you're going? What's it going to be like? Well, what do you mean? Well, once you get the U-Haul unpacked, into your mansion, you've got all your stuff there. It's going to be really great stuff. You've got a really great house, probably a fabulous yard. It's going to be really green, just manicured. So, when you get all moved in, what are you going to do? You're probably tired from the move, so maybe you'll take a bath and go to bed. Or what are you going to do the next day? Check out the golf courses, try to see where the nearest Target is or Walmart, get situated. What are you going to do? And I'm waiting for people to say, well, the first thing I'm going to do when I get there is I'm going to go find the big guy. You know, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going there to see him. You know, but I don't get that from a lot of folks. A lot of folks I do, but a lot of people, they're thinking, well, I never really thought about it. Well, what's it going to be like? Well, it's going to be great. Well, what's going to be great about it? Well, it's going to be peaceful and And I'm waiting for somebody. Once in a while, somebody will say, well, I want God. I want to see him right away. You see, the devotee, we're going back to Godhead for him. You see. I mean, we're going to go look him up immediately. As soon as we get there, we're going to go prowling and ask everybody to see, where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? Oh, he's right over here. Can you take me to him? You know, you're going to be going through the Vrindavan forest looking for Krishna. Actually, Krishna will meet you, but if he doesn't, you're going to go looking for him. Actually, Krishna meets you when you go back. He's there waiting for you. And when he sees you, he faints. Why have you been gone so long? Oh, so happy you're back. You see. So, but that's the devotee. We want Krishna. We're not thinking, well, what's my living quarters going to be like? You know, I have a special diet. You know, and I want to make sure somebody. You know,
I can't have soy. I can't. No dairy. You know.
Yeah.
Make sure that's taken care of.
Yeah, and I don't drink tap water, so it's got to be filtered water. And, make all the arrangements. Oh, I want Krishna. I don't care. If I'm going to sleep on his doorstep at night when it's time to everybody leave. I'm going to sleep right there so I can see him as soon as I can the next day. And it's like I'm not going to let him go. So, but a lot of folks aren't looking for that. That's not their destination. So to them, their scale, their standards are different. So in other words, it's bona fide. The religion is bona fide if it makes me feel good. If I feel that I'll get some salvation and I'll get some benefit. I'll be happy, I'll be peaceful, cared for, which could be the heavenly planets. It sure sounds like the heavenly planets, but you see what I mean? They're not looking for a relationship with the Supreme that's really that close. That's not. They're maybe thinking that I don't know. Maybe if I see him once a week, I use the analogy. It's like for a lot of folks, liberation or going to heaven, whatever you'd like to call it, would be like moving to Washington D.C. And you're living several blocks from the president. So you're there in D.C. and the president lives down the street, but you're not planning on having lunch with him. You're not planning on him dropping by. See, I can be there. I don't have to deal with him. So a lot of folks kind of have that conception in the back of their mind when you shake it up. They realize, well, I haven't really thought about what I'll do with him. What will we do? If you're really seeking him in love, then you're gonna be thinking, man, I just can't wait to grab him around the neck, hold his hand, so many things that I want to know about him. I just, the devotee becomes infatuated with Krishna. See, that's so there's a plan. I know exactly what I'm going to do. So if I can just get there, you see. So it depends. Some different standards. So a bona fide religion is a moving target to the bhakti yogi, to the Vaishnava. It's only bona fide if it gives you love of Godhead. But to someone else, a religion may be perfectly bona fide if it just makes me feel good and helps me live a righteous life. You see. And to us, but feeling good in the righteous life comes with the pursuit of love of Godhead. But not everybody's really looking for that topmost product. Did somebody have a question?
I could live in this room. You hit so many nerves tonight, I could write another book. George taught the world to chant and pray in numbers innumerable to score. He opened his heart from behind that locked door. His only desire was to love God more. I wrote that.
Oh, beautiful.
Talk about loving God more. You mentioned The Art of Dying. That's the name of one of George's songs. He lived his life to see God at the end. He's one of the ones you're talking about. The one you're talking about.
Yeah,
You're hitting all these nerves tonight.
religious life is more than just living a good life. We're working up to the point of death. Now, a lot of folks don't want to talk about that. That's a little, too heavy to talk about death. Of course, I remember the church I went to when I was a boy was always kind of like hellfire and brimstone. You're going to die, and you're going to
Be saved before you die.
If you're not saved, you're going to
Go to hell.
so, but it is important for us to think that we have to deal with the moment of death, because it's going to come. We don't know when, but it will come. It's just like I was telling this one fellow that he asked me, how was your trip to the doctor? I went to the doctor when I was in India and for a checkup. I said, well, the doctor told me I was going to die. He said, oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that. My God, it's terrible. How long do you have? I said, well, that's the first thing I asked him. He says, I don't have a clue. You could live 40 years and you could live 40 minutes, but you're going to die. That's a shoe that fits. We're gonna die. So I can kind of put that off. People have a tendency to plan. People plan for retirement. They plan for their vacation. They plan their day, their week, their month. But this moment's going to come, and it can't be one of those oh no moments.
I could have had a V8.
Yeah, I could have become a devotee. I could have generated. But the knock on the door, and you open the door, and here's the Grim Reaper. And oh no, not you! It's me. Is it time? Yep, it's time. Oh no! Gosh, I haven't finished the Bhagavatam. Man, I'm not even through the first canto. I was gonna, and the Reaper says, "Well, was gonnas don't work."
Next time around.
Yeah. Anyway, so come this way. Take my arm. Time to go. Check out time. So. These are things we don't want to discuss. These aren't warm, fuzzy, and feel good. But, something needs to throw the cold water on us sometime and wake us up. I'm preparing for the moment of death, and that will require me to live a certain kind of life. Because that moment of death, the sum total of my life is going to be there, right? Who I am and what my passions are, my desires. Everything is going to culminate right there. You see, the sum total is going to hit me right in the face. And if it's something other than Krishna, it's not like the Vishnu Dudas are going to come and beat you up and force you to go back to Godhead. It's not like being arrested. A lot of people think that, well, if you die, you go to heaven. But I've noticed at funerals I've been to, even if it's a real rotten person, I've been to funerals for people who are really rotten. I mean terrible people, they had some good qualities, but they were basically, just nothing really admirable about them. And they're saying the same thing. He's gone on to a better place. What? This guy? What the heck? What kind of better place could this guy go to, And what kind of karma got him there? My Lord. This guy's taking the body of a dog or something, a worm, but it's always, come on. You think you just die? So here I am, I'm a sinful person, and I want sinful activities, I want the material energy, and I die. So as I'm about to leave my body, here comes the Vishnu Dudas to take me back to Godhead. And I'd say, hey guys, leave me alone. I don't want to go there. No, you have to. I don't want to go. No, I want to stay here. I want another body and try to enjoy the material energy. No, sorry, you got to go. It's not like that. It's not a cheap thing. You got to earn it. You've got to have it. You've got to work so hard and become so attracted and attached to Krishna that that's your desire. Now, if you fall short, if you can't remember him, but that has been your desire, then Krishna says, that's okay, I'll take care of that. Because that's a tough order. But if you're sincere, even though you're not perfect, you don't achieve the topmost level, well, Krishna knows your sincerity, and he'll say, oh, that's okay. Oh, you're coming home. Yeah, I think Bob had a question first.
Well, it was just what you were saying. I don't know, some people know about the work of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, the well-known Swiss psychiatrist. She did a lot of work with death and dying, and that was basically her life work. And so she gathered thousands and thousands of anecdotal responses from people who had had these so-called near-death experiences. And almost without exception, every one of them had this experience of, like you were just saying, the sum total of their life existence was in that single moment when they were transitioning. They knew in an instant, it was almost like all of that time was just condensed into that one absolute knowing of the positive things you did, the negative things you did, the missed opportunities, and also your spiritual alignment.
Yeah.
Some of the people said if they were aligned to a particular deity, that was the deity that greeted them. Mm-hmm. So it was so even Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who really didn't ascribe to any particular religion, but she was very spiritual, she did say that it was very, very, very important for the person to have some kind of a deep spiritual practice. Body is how you go back to source.
Yeah.
So, and this is, so there's a lot of great, very tangible anecdotal evidence for all of this that we're talking about.
Yeah, and you're talking somebody who's actually done the math, the homework, and so many people they've witnessed. Mm-hmm. The sum total of it, they say your life passes before your eyes, and sure, everything, all the desires are there.
Yeah, they call it life review.
That's a perfect term. And then whatever that life review totals, whatever that equation equals, you run all this equation equal this. That's what you get in your next life. That desire will be fulfilled. So, and if it's Srila Prabhupada says there are 8,400,000 species of life. So there are 8,400,000 different desires. And there's a form of life. It's not. Some people think, well, it's like a punishment, and to the devotee, it is a punishment to take the body of a pigeon, maybe. Well, no, your desire. Prabhupada uses the example. If one has a desire for sex life, lots of sex life, the human body is not a good body for that. We think, oh no, it's perfect, but no. A pigeon can have all the sex they want once every 10 minutes. They don't have to buy dinner and a movie. They don't have to get a room. There's no ring, there's no matrimony, and when the offspring come, they don't have to worry about it. They just fly away and keep on going. There's no palimony. It's just free. It's all about free love. Yeah, they don't have to put the little birds through college, pigeon college. I've never even seen a pigeon college. I don't even think they exist. You see, so talk about free love. Dogs and so. You see, if that's my desire, I got the wrong body. See, I have a body that can allow me to think about God and my situation in this material world. What are the material elements? How do I Am I this body? Am I a soul? What is a soul? Is there a God? What does he want? You see, the animals they're not preoccupied with these kind of thoughts. They don't have a body that will do this. You see, but they have better senses. We've talked about that, you know. Your dog can smell better than you, he can hear better than you, he can see better than you. He enjoys his senses more than you do. You can't compete with him. I mean, he's got your hands down. So if sense gratification is what we want, there are many better bodies. I mean, millions of better bodies to enjoy. You see, the human beings get hung up. The pigeon and the dog and the others, they don't feel guilt. They don't say, man, I shouldn't have done that, you know. The dog doesn't say, you know, I shouldn't have promised that female dog that I would marry her. I told her I loved her just so I could have an evening with her. And then she got pregnant, and now here I am miles away, and I'm just concerned about her and the offspring. They don't do that. You know, they don't, you know, it's just on to the next moment. The human being thinks, you know, am I doing the right thing? You know, was that right? Maybe, you know, gee whiz, you know, maybe I made some mistakes in life. See? Because we've got this reason, we've got this bigger brain that can act, that's actually meant for greater things than gratification from the senses. You see, this human body is an opportunity for us to get out of the cycle of birth and death, to transcend it and go back to Godhead. You know, and some people may say honestly, that's just not important to me, really. But, you know, I hear what you say, and I understand that you want it. I really like enjoying my senses, you know. And maybe being a dog wouldn't be so bad. I get to have sex and eat what I want and sleep wherever I might have a great master. And, you know, some people, I've actually had people say, you know, it may not be so bad. You know, Ringo Starr, when he was talking to Srila Prabhupada, he said, you know, he said, I've always fancied to be a bird. You know. The other three Beatles were a little bit more, a little brighter. You know. Ringo was kind of on his own. Always fancied to be a bird. You know, so he could see that. And the other three thought, wow, spiritual life, this is interesting. You know. So, all right, we've got about 7 minutes. Do we go to 8 instead? Okay. So, yes, well, I forgot about you, boy. Yeah.
Just what our brother was saying, the all-inclusiveness of Krishna's love. That doesn't matter caste, rich, poor, educated, not educated. It's all-inclusive.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not picky, because Krishna sees you as this. He sees the soul. The pure devotee sees the soul. He sees you as a soul, not as a body. You know, you're a soul that thinks you're a body. Krishna has this eternal relationship with you, and he's never forgotten it. He's never come under illusion or the amnesia brought on by us thinking we're the body. You see, he still remembers the times you had together. You know, you were saying that some of the nice times that you have are in the morning, having your tea with the cookies, you know, because now you have to give up the cookies because of your blood sugar, you know. So there are nice times that you remember, sweet times in your relationship. Well, Krishna has that with you. He remembers these sweet times that you had together, whatever it may be. He remembers them still. We've forgotten. They're somewhere, you know, but they're all covered over by our conviction that we are the body. As soon as we become convinced that we're not, I mean totally convinced, then this will start to return. Our memory will return. It doesn't have to be at the moment of death. but when we become totally purified, when you get Krishna prema, which you can have in this lifetime, which is liberation. Love of Godhead is liberation, even though you're still walking around in this body. You see, so, but you remember, the sweet moments that you shared with Krishna. He knows. So he doesn't say, well, you're of one caste and you're of another, and you're a male, you're a female, you're this, you're that. No. We're none of that. To Krishna, we have an eternal identity. You see. Yeah, man.
So the love of Krishna is, once you realize that, it's very, you just feel so at peace, and you don't have any fears, and things are going to work out, and you're just very, serene and happy, and then you all of a sudden are forced to interact with people or be in situations where you just feel, cut off, or like certain interactions really just kind of disrupt that streamlining love that you have for Krishna. And how do you deal with that? How do you make sure that you're always in line and in tune with Krishna?
By performing devotional service with love. Performing loving devotional service. And as I said in the beginning, you do it because this is the process that they say to follow. And then you get some attraction, you see. In that attraction period, where you haven't really perfected and you haven't totally advanced, you've made some advancement, you're starting to like it, and you're starting to perform devotional service, and you're starting to feel some love for Krishna. You see, and like you say, everything feels great. Like I don't have any worries, but there can be a disruption. Something may happen, and believe me, Krishna's gonna try. He's gonna test you. He's gonna test you. You see, because it's kind of like we're in. It's like if you join the armed forces, you have to go through basic training. If you're going to be a Navy SEAL, it's tough. They're training you for the real deal. When you hit the beach, or you have to do all these things that Navy SEALs have to do. You see, so there's a training period. Things are tested under stress. A relationship is tested under stress. Mm-hmm. You have two people that may be together, and there's plenty of money and plenty of this and plenty of everything, and there may be some attraction, but when times are hard, you see, when one of them may be sick and need that's the stress that's placed on a relationship. So the relationship is proven under stress. You see, so it's part of Krishna's training to give you the test to see if it will be. Sometimes you'll be disrupted. But after some time, you become attached. You work through the attraction period, become attached. And then you end up with something, there's a big challenge in your life. You're thinking, what's going on? Wow, things seem like they're falling apart. You think, wait a minute. I know who's behind this. Krishna. You tried to, hey, nice try. But I'm not disrupted. But that was a good try, you're pretty good, That was a good one, but it didn't work. So maybe he'll turn up the heat a little bit and try to give you some more things.
So are you obligated to have association or obligation to people that try to take you away from Krishna, who aren't
You're
God-minded?
not obligated.
What if they're, relatives or something?
Like your wife.
For a wife, that's different. You have a responsibility to your wife.
Yeah.
You have a responsibility. And you may say, well, she's not a devotee, she disrupts. Well, that's a challenge that you have. You see. You have a responsibility.
Not to take you away from what you're talking to Meg about.
Well, but let's say they're relatives.
What if they're your parents?
Okay, because I think many of us went through that. My parents were trying to tell me you're crazy.
Yeah.
This is,
I can't even talk about God around them.
so then don't. I associate with people that I can talk about God, and when my mother was alive, I associated with her. She wasn't much of a God person. It wasn't something she
But
wanted
do I
to
feel,
talk
do I
about.
have to obligate myself to associate with them even if they are disrupting my devotion?
You need to minimize it, but you have a responsibility. You see, go and see that as like when you go to the gym to work out. You know, you're lifting weights or you're doing all this stuff, and it's making you stronger. Go with that consciousness.
Mm.
You know, I'm here in your environment, and you're trying to take away my consciousness, but you can't do it.
It's very difficult, especially if they become really abusive because they're so afraid.
That would be my question. You know, what if it becomes more of an emotional abuse?
Yeah.
Is there a period that you can just back off and just stay away from and
Yeah.
and give yourself a?
Ultimately, you may have to do that. You may just have to limit. With parents, it's a challenge. You have a responsibility to your parents, you know. But the biggest preaching that you can have is for you to become a very good devotee. Then they'll see. My mother was not really into me being a devotee for decades. She didn't, in the beginning she hated it. Then she got to where it was kind of like, she didn't talk about it. It's kind of like, you don't talk about this God thing, and I won't talk about the God thing. We'll just kind of, you know, so I would go sometimes to visit her, and when I had the opportunity, I would visit. And, but then, shortly before she died, she knew she was going to die. Didn't know exactly when, but in the not too distant future, you know, days are numbered. And she said to me, I went to see her, and I'm sitting beside her, and she wasn't somebody who showed a lot of affection. You know, it was obviously that she loved her children, but it wasn't something that she was like a lot of mothers show a lot of. But so she reached over and she put her hand on mine, and that was out of character for her. And she said, you know, I am so glad that you joined these Krishnas.
Mm.
You know, she said, I wish that my other children, the other two siblings, I wish they had done it. They haven't had the life that you've had.
Mm.
You know, you've had such a wonderful life. I'm so happy for you.
Mm.
It's just changed you in so many ways, and I feel so bad that they haven't had the opportunities. You know, they've made so many mistakes, but they didn't have the environment that you had. And she just starts praising, you know, and she said, she never could pronounce Prabhupada's name, you know. And she would say, that old, I said, yeah, I know who you're talking about, Prabhupada. Yeah, him. You know, he really, I mean, he gave you a wonderful life, you know. She said, I'm so happy for you. You know, I look at you and your children, and you are so different, your children are different, and your brother and sister and their kids, and it's just like night and day. She's just, but I didn't get that until later on.
Didn't Prabhupada say in here though that non-believers were demons or demonic? Or I think he has a verse in here that says non-believers are demons.
Yeah, they are demonic. Now that doesn't mean that they have.
They're under the influence.
They're under that demonic influence. You see, they are.
It's darkness. It's blindness.
Yeah.
It's
Blind, ignorance.
It's
ignorance.
again, lack of knowledge.
Uh-huh.
You see, it is darkness. They're in the mode of darkness.
And
So,
it's-
but we have some relationship and some responsibility. But you have a responsibility to yourself too. You got to save yourself. You see.
I think that especially if you're parents, your responsibility is to push your children towards God, not to take
Not
them
to
away.
take them away.
Right,
you know.
right.
I remember I had one argument with my mother when not too long after I became a devotee, and I just kind of told her as nicely as I could that, you know, if you're going to speak like this, then I'm not interested in associating with you. And I didn't talk to her for 2 years. I mean, I wasn't mean or I'm not going to. I just said, you know, it's just I find it uncomfortable, you know, for you to be like this. And so, after 2 years, she realized, of course it didn't take her 2 years, but it took her some time to realize, wow, I hit a nerve there. He doesn't go for this. So she stopped criticizing, and she stopped because I was prepared to, I'll call you once in a while, but I'm not interested. And if you're going to start talking like that, then I'll hang up, but I'm not going to come around. I'm just not going to do it. So, but that was 40 years ago. So then she got to where, through the years, she was a little bit okay with it, but then, like I say, towards the end, well, it's the best thing you ever did. It just turned it around.
I think that the best weapon is to be genuine, to be yourself.
Gotta be yourself.
If you are a devotee and family calls and they say, what are you doing? I say, I'm praying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, part of what you're talking about is like setting, just in psychology. Psychology 101 basically is learning how to set healthy boundaries
Absolutely.
with people.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
when
some people don't respect boundaries.
They do, and that's
They're
the
tyrants.
only right.
Yeah,
they don't.
they're
That's
tyrants.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, to some people, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's your boundary, huh? So in other words, this is my goal.
Mhm.
Right. Like my mother. Oh, you're gonna have to leave me alone for a while. So then she starts contacting all my friends and all my
Oh,
associations, and Margaret did this and Meg did that. So it's very,
It's insidious.
It's funny though, because I talk about going to the temple and Krishna and meditation and yoga to people from the East, people from Asia, and they're just like, wow, that's so, that's awesome. They're very supportive and embracing of it. And I talk to people about it here, and they're just like,
What?
I get a very different reaction. Very different reaction.
What? You're not going to go down to the hookah lounge tonight?
I'm not going to get smashed.
Right.
Yeah. What? You're not going to, was it 4th Street?
For that.
Right.
Or 4th Avenue? You're not
Yeah.
going to 4th Avenue? Come on. They're opening a new...
Hookah lounge. They're opening all over the
But like I
place.
said before,
What is a hookah lounge?
the whole world
You know,
has it
hookah,
wrong.
it's an Eastern.
I hear about
They,
it.
we have it right, but in my opinion, the whole world is wrong.
I
Oh,
found, yeah, that's true. There's a quote that I found when I was doing a class today in one of the group homes that I visited, and for the first time, by the way, I quoted from the Bhagavad Gita, and all these, I know, all these ladies goes, the Bhagavad what? So I had to give them a little 101 on what the Bhagavad Gita was, but then I quoted just a short thing. But, and it was all about loving service. I mean, give it just, and they got that. It was not like a complex discussion. They really got that, just loving people. The self-love was like a dead-end street. But in the reading I did today, which was from one of the old sayings of Jesus from the Gospel of Thomas, which is not a well-known gospel, but it was a really succinct, beautiful phrase that kind of sums up even our philosophy. And Jesus is quoted as saying, unless you fast from the world, you will not enter the kingdom of God.
Wow.
Unless you fast from the world, like basically abstain from materialism. Unless you fast from the world, you will not enter the kingdom of God.
See, that's,
Amazing.
Lord Jesus, when he spoke, of course, there's not a lot, I don't think there's enough of the philosophy of what he said that they really, but when he spoke pretty heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't like Rumi.
Right.
I'm busy with the waterfall. And it wasn't,
Mhm.
you're not gonna get there unless you fast from the material energy.
Mhm.
Period. Boy, now that's
It
just
goes right to the
lot.
bottom line. Right.
Deny yourself, take up your cross daily and follow me. Whoa.
Yeah. It's like a Dharma slap.
Yeah, yeah. So, that's interesting. That's a good.
That's like a 4 regulative principles.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
What was that? How did that go again?
Unless you fast from the world, you will not enter the kingdom of God.
I'm gonna remember that. That's very.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, do that. I'll forget it. All right, sorry to go over, but it's always nice to have a good discussion. I love this group, you folks, because it's good discussion,
Yeah.
back and forth, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Let's
you.
do it again, real soon. I'm here all month.